John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
I've worked with this guy for a long, long time back at ESPN Radio, and now he is the voice of the Washington Commanders. He's joined us before, and I got to join his show yesterday in D.C., and you told me to behave at the beginning of the call. I did behave, right? I mean,
for good reason.
Yes.
But
you guys have a lot of subject matter that you were worried I might wander into.
Well, let's see. We have a lot of subject matters that I don't want you to wander into, especially on my show. And then secondarily, last time we spoke, you jumped on a bus with 5,000 people and came here and turned FedEx Field into Mohegan Sun Bus Depot and painted it green.
I still think that's behave. What I suggested yesterday. That's what you guys need to do. Turn the stadium into a big casino. And then people come. And why not? Try something.
Sorry, let me.
Yes, go on.
I got to ask you an important question since you made an old man reference.
Yes.
Because this is the real age-old Gilligan's Island question is Marianne or Ginger?
Ginger all day long.
Oh, Marianne, dude.
Really? No.
What the hell's wrong with you, Marianne?
No.
Yeah.
Ginger Grant.
No, Ginger Grant will leave your ass for the professor in a heartbeat.
For the professor?
Marianne's a ride or die.
You think so, eh?
What's wrong with you, man?
It's unbelievable. Look, Bram, now you're causing problems on my show. I thought that's what I'm supposed to do when I visit yours. All right, let's get to this.
Yeah.
How much more dangerous are the Commanders this time around than they were last time?
So, offensively, we are still stuck in neutral for sure, albeit with a more mobile quarterback. But what's really interesting is if you go look just on paper, and obviously the eye test, you're going to see two very, very, very different quarterbacks. But on paper, it's like a facsimile of one another. Wentz played 6 games. Heineke's played 3. Wentz threw 10 touchdowns, 6 picks. Heineke's threw 5 touchdowns, 3 picks. Their completion percentage is almost identical. The only real difference is Heineke doesn't take nearly as many sacks, and Wentz throws the ball a little bit more downfield, and thus he averages like 40, 50 more yards a game. But obviously the games are closer than they were really at the beginning of the year, and mainly because the offense is productive enough to not have drives blow up on them, but they're not scoring many points. The other difference is, and this kind of started in maybe it's a coincidence second half of the Eagles game because they were down 24-0. They're giving up since the start of that second half 6.5 games, 16 points a game, which over the course of the season would be the second best scoring defense in the league. So you are running into a really high level, doesn't take the ball away very much, but very difficult to score on defense, which is why every single one of their games comes down to like a field goal at the end.
And Bram, sticking on the offensive side, as you talk about Taylor Heinecke and Carson Wentz, how much different is it in terms of the players and getting up for their quarterback as they get ready for these games? They feel like they have an opportunity when the backup quarterback theory, and right now that is, of course, in play with your football team.
So Heineke owns the locker room. Heineke, and this is I know you guys have history with Wentz that that could go down a road for sure.
Sure.
I think it's different. Like Heineke predates Wentz coming here. Heineke is this crazy story of some dude who was about to go to business schools. He thought his career was over, and there's all these obvious ceiling of talent level that is so obvious to anybody that watches. And he gets forced to play Tom Brady in a playoff game and nearly beats him. And then the next year is forced to play. They tried to replace him, but is forced to be the starter because Ryan Fitzpatrick gets hurt in game 1. And there's no more beloved 7 and 8 quarterback than this person. So understand obviously the bar's a little low around here these days for what good quarterbacking looks like, but I don't think you can really overestimate or overjudge chemistry. And these guys love him. The fans love him. He keeps them in every game. He's like a miniature Brett Favre. He will give you opportunity, and then every once in a while you will have these almost magical things happen on his behalf. He is someone that has galvanized the locker room, galvanized the fan base. And when Wentz comes off IR next week, assuming he's able to play, to be a very interesting, very, very interesting decision for Ron Rivera to make.
Bram, looking at everything that's going on off the field, is any of that, do you think, seeping into the locker room and the mood of the players? I know it's easy to say, we're ignoring it, but it's kind of tough to ignore. So do you think it's affecting them?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they, of course, but I will say in their defense of this, most of this stuff is out of their control because, what do they know about toxic workplace environments and congressional investigations? It has nothing to do with them. But, so the ESPN report that really started the ball rolling pre-Jim Irsay literally coming out saying there's merit that Dan Snyder should sell the team, that happened literally on the Thursday that they were playing the Thursday night game against the Bears. Then they won. Then a week later, Jim Irsay says what he says. They play the Packers, and they won. Then they went to Indianapolis, where the entire story was about everything off the field, and they won. So Ron Rivera and the players will say, we do have a pretty good bubble going on here. Yesterday, though, was the first time that the players, and this was off of a statement that was made because the District of Columbia Attorney General has opened up a civil litigation against the team over the workplace environment stuff that I would bore your audience with if I tried to explain the merits or non-merits of. Still, in a statement back to the Attorney General, they brought up the shooting of Brian Robinson as a sign of the district needs to get its house in order. And that really irked the fan base, irked the players. Players said things about it, said Brian Robinson's name didn't belong in this. So really, for the first time, there was a crack in that, what's going on the outside is bothering us. Still, since all this stuff really ramped up, they are 3-1.
I know that the other night, whether it has anything to do with your franchise or not, at Horses L.A., Jeff Bezos rented the place out, and Jay-Z came to dinner. And the public wasn't in. Half the restaurant was rented out, private event, and it was Jeff Bezos and Jay-Z having dinner. If, let's just say, some celebrity or some major force with deep pockets wanted to buy that franchise, how much would that be, though, just a re-energizing of the fan base, and how quickly do you think it would take? Because that is a proud franchise with a great fan base when things are going well.
I don't know the second part of the answer to that because until it happens, we really don't know. I could sit there and go, it's going to re-energize a lot of people that have been turned off by the way this team has conducted its business for a long time. But I don't think you know that until there is a new owner in place, how they message to the team, do the non-P1 people who might hate watch the team because they're upset about everything, but they don't miss a play. I don't know. That said, I would ask you this as a primary rival of this team. How do you feel about the richest man in the world owning it? Because that's a distinct possibility right now.
Well, the one thing is it's a salary cap league, and unless he's hiring Howie Roseman to run your salary cap, I'm not as scared as it would be as if it was a baseball team. But I can say having an adult in charge, having a franchise that will do whatever it takes to be first class and to do things first class, yeah, that absolutely would concern me.
I mean, there are a couple things here, if it's Jeff Bezos, the one thing that this team really needs is a new stadium very badly. Really, one of the underrated parts of the story of the fan base and all these investigations and the NFL now kind of starting a ball rolling towards potentially a sale. I mean, I think the part that's underrated here is what the NFL's really mad about is the finances. They're really mad that this team has had a hard time securing a new location for a stadium. Their lease is up in 2027, and you guys have been to FedEx Field. You know it's time for it to be replaced in a lot of different ways. If Jeff Bezos comes in, we're pretty aware that we're going to get a state-of-the-art stadium anywhere we want and very quickly. And he's worked with the local jurisdiction here to put Amazon's HQ2 in the outskirts of Washington, D.C. So we know that that's going to be handled very quickly. Obviously, it would be state-of-the-art. Hopefully, it'll be back at RFK. But to go back to your original question, does it turn into 1986 here all of a sudden? And we're playing reruns of Gilligan's Island around here.
Yes.
And giddily skipping down the streets. I don't know that. We like to think that's going to happen. We know there's a sleeping giant of a fan base that's been turned off for a lot of reasons. but that doesn't mean everyone shows up and the stands are bouncing up and down again. You know what I mean? So we got to wait and see, I think.
Well, Bram, I'll see you Monday night down at the game, and bring the Commanders with you. We need them for the game.
They'll show up. They'll
Yeah.
show up, and we're hoping Chase Young plays. It could be his debut.
Could be.
And honestly, like, the biggest thing that you all have to worry about with us is our defensive line is outrageously playing outstanding, like collectively this year. And that's really been the saving grace of this team.
We'll look forward to seeing you Monday night. Thanks, buddy. I always appreciate you.
All right, guys.
Take care, man.
Thanks. Yep.
The John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.